Today, let us go through the history of English language. The English language is an Indo-European language in the West Germanic language group. Modern English is widely considered to be the lingua franca of the world and is the standard language in a wide variety of fields, including computer coding, international business, and higher education. As of 2020, there are 1.27 billion English speakers around the world. This makes it the most spoken language ahead of Mandarin Chinese and Hindi also. More than 50 countries officially list English as an official language. English language, West Germanic language of the Indo-European language family that is closely related to the Frisian, German, and Dutch languages. English originated in England and is the dominant language of the United States, the United Kingdom, Canada, Australia, Ireland, New Zealand, and various island nations in the Caribbean Sea and the Pacific Ocean. It is also an official language of India, the Philippines, Singapore, and many countries in Saharan Africa, including South Africa. English is the first choice of foreign language in most other countries of the world, and it is that status that has given it the position of a global lingua franca. It is estimated that about a third of the world's population, some 2 billion persons, now use English. Origins and basic characteristics. English belongs to the Indo-European family of languages and is therefore related to most other languages spoken in Europe and Western Asia, from Iceland to India. The parent tongue, called Proto-Indo-European, was spoken about 5,000 years ago by nomads, believed to have roamed the Southeast European plains. Germanic, one of the language groups descended from this ancestral speech, is usually divided by scholars into three regional groups: East Burgundian, Vandal, and Gothic, all extinct. North Icelandic, Faroes, Norwegian, Swedish, and Danish, and West German, Dutch, and Flemish, Frisian, and English. Though closely related to English, German remains far more conservative than English in its retention of a fairly elaborate system of inflections. Frisian, spoken by the inhabitants of the Dutch province of Friesland and the islands of the west coast of Schleswig, is the language most nearly related to modern English. Icelandic, which has changed little over the 1,000 years, is the living language most nearly resembling Old English in grammatical structure. Modern English is analytic, whereas Proto-Indo-European, the ancestral tongue of most of the modern European languages, e.g., German, French, Russian, Greek was synthetic or inflected. During the course of thousands of years, English words have been slowly simplified from the inflected variable forms found in Sanskrit, Greek, Latin, Russian, and German towards invariable forms as in Chinese and Vietnamese. The German and Chinese words for the noun man are exemplary. German has 5 forms: man, manis, man, manner, manneren. Chinese has 1 form: ran. English stands in between with the 4 forms: man, mens, men, mens. In English, only nouns, pronouns as in he, him, his, adjectives as in big, bigger, biggest, and verbs are inflected. English is the only European language to employ uninflected adjectives: easy, the tall man, the tall woman, compared to Spanish el hombre, alto, and la mujer, alta. As for verbs, if the modern English word ride is compared with the corresponding words in Old English and modern German, it will be found that English now has only 5 forms: ride, rides, ride, rode, riding, ridden, whereas Old English ridden had 13 and modern German written has 16. In addition to the simplicity of inflections, English has 2 other basic characteristics: flexibility of function and openness of vocabulary. Flexibility of function has grown over the last 5 centuries as a consequence of the loss of inflections. Words formerly distinguished as nouns or verbs by differences in other forms are now often used as both nouns and verbs. One can speak, for example, of planning a table or tabling a plan, booking a place or placing a book, lifting a thumb or thumbing a lift. In the other Indo-European languages, apart from rare exemptions, in Scandinavian languages, nouns and verbs are never identical because of the necessity of separate noun and verb endings. In English, forms for traditional pronouns, adjectives, and adverbs can also function as nouns, adjectives, and adverbs as verbs, and nouns, pronouns, and adverbs as adjectives. One speaks in English of the Frankfurt Book Fair, but in German one must add the suffix er to the place name and put attributive and noun together as a compound. So this way we see English has a long history and also a mixture of different languages.